Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I've got a little project today that I've been wanting to do for a while now. It's an idea that I've had floating around in my head. So because we're in the heart of winter here in central Wisconsin, it's cold and nasty outside, this is the time for me to be doing these projects in the warm garage. So my idea is to build a lightweight material bucket for the front of my Kubota tractor. I run a tree service, and so we get a lot of lightweight material to rake up the leaves, the sticks, and so it's high volume, but again lightweight. So the bucket that comes standard with most of these compact tractors is just a little bit too small, and the bucket overall too heavy for the task that I want it to accomplish. So we're going to get right into this project. I'll show you my idea for how I want to build this thing. My idea is to take this set of 3-point pallet forks. I bought these a long time ago for actually an older tractor that I had. What I have then is I purchased some steel from the local liquidator, and I have a weld-on skid steer quick attach plate. So my plan is to weld on the skid steer quick attach plate on the back side. Obviously I'll have to cut the 3-point tabs off. We'll set these forks to the width I want, have a couple cross members coming in between the forks. I'll eventually have to build this up, and then I'll probably just use, at least temporarily while we give this thing a trial run, like 3/4 plywood or something that I can bolt down to here. That's the general idea anyway. We'll essentially build a framework around those 3-point forks, sheet the inside with OSB, and call that good. So let's start by cutting these 3-point tabs off and getting this thing welded up. They want that cut off wheel. Spared you the exhilaration of watching me grind that all off, but we got everything ground off, at least good enough to get the next pieces on. There's a couple tabs. That one was a little bit of work. So now I think what I'm going to do is get these forks laid out to the width I want, and probably start cutting the cross members and laying those out. Maybe start to tack those on a little bit. Once I get that width figured out, I can figure out obviously the width of where the uprights are going to be. So let's do that. Okay, we gotta loosen these bolts up first. I'll probably just take them right out of there. This thing is designed obviously for these bolts to ride into these pre-drilled holes on this thing. That way you can set your fork width depending on what you're picking up, of course. So eventually this thing's going to be just rigid, so these bolts will just be kind of in the way. I want it to be 50 inches outside. I realized while editing this clip that I never actually explained why the 50 inches matters, and that's simply because the chute on my chipper is about 50 inches wide. So I want to be able to move this bucket right into the back of the chipper and dump it without spilling over the side of the chipper chute. Alright, so I've got everything kind of squared up. I'm just going to recheck here because I just decided to grind a little bit of this paint off. It's good. Alright, so we got a tack on the inside top. We're going to do the outside top now. That should lock it in. We're staying square. I had to make some minor adjustments, but it's pretty good. I got my fan going and the window open, so it's getting cooler in here now, but that's better than inhaling smoke, I guess. I know watching welding happen on camera isn't all that exciting. All right, so we got that tacked up now, and everything's pretty square. What I do think I'm gonna do now is weld on, at least tack on, the skid steer quick attach plate that I've got. What I think I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put the top of the plate somewhere in this general range on this upper support of the forks. That way I can get a full weld across here for strength. Okay, I got this temporary put up here. Some locks lined up where I want it. Get these pieces cut out and tacked on. Then now that I have that plate tacked on, I think I can I'll come in here with the tractor, pick this up and put it on horses, then I can finish everything else from elevated position and get better weld angles, all that fun stuff. We'll get the tractor here. Been another project of mine. You guys can let me know if you'd care to see any of this update, but I'm working on a shop here. This is a like 20 by 70 foot. That used to be like a barn, but it's a stick frame unit. So then this all will be heated eventually. Is like my shop, and then this is just truck storage, and I might put like my mechanic stuff here. Anyway, so let me know if you care to see that update. I've done a lot of work on it, but I haven't filmed any of it. I gotta put this new garage door in. Okay, pieces are cut for this, I guess, extended backer. This is basically what I'm doing here. I'm just going to go like this way for strength, and then I've got the piece cut that goes up and down. So we're going to tack that all together, get it squared up, and then we'll start building the sidewall. Pretty close. Could come top. So we'll come over a little bit here. Pretty good. All right, so those are done. That worked out. Again, everything's just tacked up. We got it all squared up nicely. And then now to start building the sidewall. Okay, so this is what I came up with. I did decide to square this off, and then we'll 45 down here. So what I did is basically the distance from here to here is the same as the distance from here to here. That way this will be a 45-degree angles on here. We're getting closer. Everything's tacked on. I'm gonna have a lot of welding to do at the end, but that's the fun part. Back from the store. Got the plywood that's sitting out in the truck, some hardware, and the last bit of steel I needed to finish this angle off. So I'm going to cut these angles, get this tacked on. I'll probably then cut the plywood out, get that kind of fit in, maybe start to drill that in. Either that or I'll finish welding everything up. I might just do that. I'll finish welding everything up. That way, if it does move a little bit, we'll be okay. Okay, I'm liking this fit and look here. So we got those both cut. We'll get those tacked on quick. And then we can start really welding this thing up solid. I guess the plan is I'm just going to mark the back with the pencil I don't have handy. Oh, this is dangerous. Drop that through. Well, it is a new day, and I'm going to try and get this bucket wrapped up. It's cold outside. I think it's showing like 6 below. And I've actually got the heater on the tractor, just my torpedo heater. I should have spec'd that thing with a block heater on it. You'd kind of assume if you sell a tractor in the Midwest, it should just have that on. My chipper came with it as standard equipment. Anyway, so I think my plan is we're going to get this thing cleaned up right now. I'll probably wipe it down with some acetone. And then I want to move it closer to the door. You know, set it right here. That way when I paint this thing, I can open the door quick just to get the fumes out. And then I can shut the door just to keep the heat rolling in here. So I think that's going to be the plan. I did pick up some primer and then just some black paint. You know, most of the original structure is still like a matte black paint, but we might just put a coat of the satin version I bought over top of it. So that's kind of the plan. While that tractor's warming up, I want to get this thing cleaned up, and then we can move this thing back a little closer to the door. Steel is still really cold from last night. I've had the heater going in here for a few hours now this morning. We'll see. It is what it is. We'll get it painted and hope it'll be okay. Did give this all a little bit of a sand job, so who knows? Hopefully the paint sticks to it. Just got some rattle cans. So. Okay, we're going to call that good for paint. I got a coat of primer on and probably 2 or 3 coats of black, so It's good enough for what it is. Hopefully it'll keep the rust from forming too bad. I'm going to go ahead and get this OSB. That's all prepped, so it'll be as simple as throwing it on and screwing it down. I am putting a little grease on these screws just because there's going to come a day where I'm going to want to pull these out. And so this will obviously aid in them rusting too bad. Okay, I think sides are next. All right, that should do it. I guess all that's left now is to test it out. We'll get it on the tractor. I don't have any rake up or brush here at the house, but I do have some wood, like rounds, you know, some heavier stuff. You know, sometimes when I'm cutting and taking down trees, we just firewood it down because it's safer that way. And you have a lot of these smaller rounds to pick up. And the grapple that I have isn't the most efficient with picking up rounds, you know, unless you move them all in a line, grab them all at once and then move it. But if you got to move it anyway, you may as well just push it into this bucket and then you can dump it in the dump trailer. So we'll head out right now. I'll throw a few rounds in, see if it picks it up. I'm pretty confident it will. And we'll dump it and we'll call that good for this project. And then, you know, I'll be sure to show it on the actual tree jobs when and if we use it. So. I guess before we put it to work, take a look at it in some better lighting conditions. I think it looks okay. I wasn't going for looks, but I mean, that's a pretty good load. That's more than I could pick up with the grapple for sure, especially because these are all kind of weirdo pieces. Based on the math, this bucket we built here should hold about 3 times the volume more than the stock factory bucket that came with this tractor. So in theory, I've turned 3 trips into 1 trip, assuming that you have a bunch of rake up at the base of the tree and you have to move that material, let's say, to a chipper or dump trailer. I've got my dump trailer right here, so we'll see. It's up, but we'll see how it works kind of in relation to that. So I'm going to say preliminary tests are good. I'm going to show this thing more on the jobs when I get it on there, but if you've got any criticism for me on this, I'd welcome to hear it. Anything you think I should add or missed. Thanks for hanging out with me, and we will catch you on the next one.